So everybody, Tony Reavis here with Collider Games, and I'm sitting here with Matt Walker, producer of Devil May Cry 5. It's here.
Yeah, baby.
You excited?
It's fun. Yeah.
Finally.
Oh, dude. It's been a trip, man.
Yeah.
You know, we announced at E3 last year, and it's crazy to think it hasn't even been a year yet.
Yeah. Because I was trying to remember, like, I remember the E3 seeing it announced, and then remember, yeah, that's when we first heard.
Yep.
And it's been a decade in the making. Well, you know, since we've got
Yep.
Devil May Cry 4. Just talk about that, like how bringing this classic series to life in a brand new edition.
Man, well, I
Devil
mean,
May Cry 5.
it all started out. So it started out with Devil May Cry 4, technically. Devil May Cry 4 came out. Itsuno-san had worked on that, and he was like, "All right, I've done everything I can with Devil May Cry. Let me make Dragon's Dogma." That's what he was ready to do. He's like, if somebody else wants to do something with Devil May Cry, that's great. I'm happy for them. They have my blessing, but I want to do Dragon's Dogma. So that happened. And then after a little while, everybody up top was like, all right, look, let's try working with Ninja Theory for DMC Devil May Cry. And that was fantastic, right? In the end, Itsuno-san split his time between working on Dragon's Dogma and then working with Ninja Theory on making that game. And when that came out, we all loved it. We thought it was great. Itsuno-san loves it. He considers it, very specifically considers it as part of the franchise. Some people are like, oh, well, you know, maybe it's, you know, it's a separate thing. And yeah, it's kind of like a parallel universe kind of thing. Sure. But, I mean, he very specifically, when he gives feedback on different things, he very specifically says, look, I don't want anyone to feel like that this is any less of a Devil May Cry entry than the other entries in the series. So, he expected that we would make a DMC Devil May Cry 2 after that. And then kind of due to different internal circumstances, that didn't happen. Flash forward a couple years, and he goes to Kenzo Tsujimoto, the top of Capcom, the guy that's been the head of Capcom since the early 80s. And he says, look, I either want to make a Devil May Cry 5 or a Dragon's Dogma 2. Let me do it. And God bless Kenzo. He said, look, I think that creators should make whatever the heck they want. And it should be our job to let them make that, because that's going to get us the best product. And he said, do whatever you want. And he said, all right, fine. Well, Itsuno-san goes, I haven't seen any really hardcore action games in a while. I've seen some amazing action games, all kinds of amazing things that we've seen with, like, the way different companies handle, you know, cinematics and story and whatnot, but I want to bring it back a little bit. I want to say, look, this is what I think a real action game is. And so he decided that's what we're going to do. We're going to make Devil May Cry 5. And that's how it all started.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, it marries the classic Devil May Cry that we all know and love with a new, fresh feel. How important was that to make it feel like, you know, a new revolution in this series, but still keeping it classic?
I mean, it's vital, right? Because if you don't do that, then what's the point of making the game, right? Then there's really not much of a reason to come back to it, aside from getting more of the same. So right off the bat, Itsuno-san said, all right, I want to make this game so that there's going to be a third playable character. And that third playable character shouldn't just be like Dante or Nero, because again, what's the point? So he said, what if we have a new character where we take the portion that you need to protect and then separate that from the portion that attacks? What kind of new interesting things can we do with the gameplay? How can that provide a new framework for people? And that's how we came up with the idea of V. The idea that you need to protect V, but then he's got these demon familiars that if you've played Devil May Cry 1, like I know you have, you recognize those guys, right? You recognize Griffin and Shadow and Nightmare, right? And by attacking with them, now you have to see more of the screen. When it's just Dante or Nero, for instance, you know, it's very much, okay, as long as you have your eye on Dante or Nero and the enemies that are in their immediate surrounding, you're okay, right? With V, now you kind of have to have an understanding of the whole playfield, because you have him a little further away from everybody, so he's not getting hit, V, and then you have the familiars, and you have all these different enemies that the familiars are attacking. Right. So it was really Itsuno-san trying to provide something new in that sense. Yeah,
and it's so interesting to have something. This, you know, Devil May Cry almost defines a genre. Like, you see a game that is an action hack and slash, and a lot of people will compare it to Devil May Cry. And bringing it in a new, fresh way with a new character was so interesting. And, you know, just kind of speak on how if you're a fan of the series or if you're brand new to the series, you know, what can you look forward to in this game if you've never played it before?
So, I mean, if if you're new to the series, oh man, there's like a whole world waiting for you, right? You know, like you're gonna get a chance to find out like what a needs to know action game is all about, right? But we very much try to balance it. Whenever we make a sequel, you know, Capcom, we make a lot of sequels. Whenever we make a sequel to a game, we try to frame it in a way so that, okay, if you're a fan of the series, you're going to see a lot of stuff that you'll recognize and you will enjoy. But if you've never played the games, it should be set up in a way so that you can just jump right into it and not be intimidated by it and know what's going on. And so that's why, for instance, the way the story is set up. The way the story is set up, you start out with Nero. Nero, he doesn't have as many options as, say, Dante would at the beginning of the game. You know, so that you can we can set it up so that you have this gradual progression through the game, so that you're gradually getting more stuff. You're learning it as you're, you know, purchasing these moves and stuff. And it should be a nice difficulty curve for anybody.
Right.
And then from a story perspective, we're saying, okay, well look, the game starts out with basically everybody's been defeated by this new demon, right? So everybody, just like that, is on the same level in terms of story. Everybody knows that, okay, here's Nero, he's going after this demon. And Dante and everybody else has kind of been obliterated by the demon, as you've seen in like the main story trailer, for instance, that we put out back in December. With V though, V's cool because whether you're a series fan or whether you're new to the series, everybody's on the same level, right? Everybody's getting to play as V for the first time.
Yeah, which is great. And you know, you being around the game so much, being so involved, who's your favorite character, man? You know, we got Nero, we got Dante, and a new character V.
Yeah.
You get a chance to choose a character sometimes. Who's it going to be for you?
For me, it changes constantly, but like right now, I'd say Nero because I do love the way that the Devil Breakers work. And you know, we've had a lot of fans, understandably, they go, look, I'm used to Dante. I'm used to the way that Dante can change his styles and his weapon at any time, you know? With the Devil Breakers, you can't do that, right? With the Devil Breakers, we wanted to differentiate between Nero and Dante. And so we said, all right, with the Devil Breakers then, Itsuno-san said, look, I'm gonna introduce the first consumable weapon in DMC series history, which is the Devil Breakers.
Right.
It's something that once you consume it, you lose it, now you get to move on to the next one. And he really wanted to try to set it up in a way that works for the gameplay. So that, okay, from a strategy perspective, I have this loadout of Devil Breakers. So I need to think, what order do I want to have them in to approach this level? And that's really where it's the macro in that gameplay that we're trying to bring to Nero. And I think it works really well personally. Yeah. I do love that, okay, I'm thinking about the loadout, and then each of these Devil Breakers has such a different set of moves, you know? Whether it's the regular Devil Breaker move or whether it's the Breakage move, the super powerful one that is going to break that Devil Breaker, but it's like a super combo, right? Like we have Gerbera, which if you do the Breakage on the ground, it's like a Shinku Hadoken essentially, right? And getting to approach the gameplay from that perspective, from the, okay, I have these super powerful moves with these Breakage moves, and I know that, yeah, I'm gonna lose that Devil Breaker, but I have another one in my loadout there. So you do like one of these Breakage moves, and then suddenly your style rank jumps up pretty high. Yeah. And I love that feeling when you're fighting
Focus
against.
on that so much.
Nice.
I need S ranks.
Yeah,
like
baby.
It's what I do.
How do you feel when you jump in S rank and that's when the music kicks in too?
It's the best. I want to jump out of my chair and start dancing.
Nice.
I got my. You know, it's what I strive for. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to these games, and
I want to see a video of you doing that on Twitter. That'd be hot. Man. That'd be hot.
Stay tuned. It's probably coming. So we got Devil May Cry 5 finally here. What can we expect in the future? Was our hopes for more stuff? What any thing?
Well, for DMC 5, basically we've already announced everything that's in the game. So day one, you're going to have the standard game. You're going to have the deluxe content, which is basically a bunch of extras that we thought fans would really enjoy.
Incredible, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then in April, we're going to bring out an update, a free update, that's going to have Bloody Palace in it. Oh. So that's all the content that we have for DMC 5. We're not planning on anything else. We're not making anything else. We've said on Twitter, we've said in interviews and stuff, like, if people really want to see more content, which we would love, we want to make more, I got to be honest, we're not making anything right now. And we have to basically be able to prove to the people up top that it's something that would make sense.
Yeah.
So Itsuno-san has said, like, look, if you want to see more stuff, please yell at us. Keep yelling at us. And then it's our job then, as the producer, like me and Okabe-san as the producers, to be able to convince the people up top that that's something worth doing. So that's all we got planned for now. obviously Capcom's always got new stuff going on. You know, Ichino-san is clearly working on something else. He hasn't said what it is, but we're excited.
Yeah, the game looks great. So much fun. I think fans of old, fans of new, they're gonna love it. So much to do in the game. Thank you so much for
Thank you, man.
sitting down with us. Looking forward to playing Devil May Cry 5.